Diablo 4 has been out for 5 weeks-ish right now. And I thought it is time for me to also throw my hat in the race and give my opinion about Diablo. TLDR, or I guess TLDW, of this video will be...
Is Diablo good?
Yes.
Is Diablo's campaign good?
Yes, it is amazing.
Is the gameplay good?
Oh yeah, the gameplay is mwah.
Is the presentation good?
Oof. The graphics, the audio, the music, the symphony of everything together is absolutely great.
So if you think that's great, doesn't that mean that Diablo is one of the greats, one of the legendary games out there? Have they achieved gaming nirvana to give you the perfect game?
No. There's a multitude of problems that is mixed in with all my positive feelings as well. And I am going to get to that in this video. To keep it short, problem is the loot, the enemies, the bosses, and the skills. That's a summary. Now let me give you some detail. And I'm afraid this might be a long video, probably the longest one I've ever made, and which means that I'm gonna spend a shit ton of hours in the editing booth, but please bear with me. A lot of effort goes into this video, so if you watch it all, I'll be happy. First off, who am I to give judgment upon Diablo? I haven't done any reviews before. I just have a gaming channel where I do a bunch of let's plays and all of that stuff. Well, I don't want to do that anymore, so now I'm doing this. Screw you, shark. I ain't afraid of you, which is a lie. But what does Diablo mean to me? Why is this the first review I decide to do? I'm no geek off the street. I have been there since day one. From Diablo's inception, I've been a fan. I was sold on Diablo 1 when I saw a trailer on the CD of the first game I've ever bought for my own money. Warcraft 2 Tides of Darkness. When you launched that CD-ROM and got the launch menu, there was a trailer, little trailer block you could press, and then you would see this.
From the depths of Hades, an evil arises to corrupt the living. It brings pain and death to all that it touches. It murdered your family and destroyed your village. Now you must enter into its lair on a dark mission of vengeance. Good luck.
This might not be very impressive today, but I was so sold after seeing this that I knew that I needed to have it. God dang, this was fire back then. And after playing Warcraft 2, I knew that if this company's making a game that has a trailer like this, whatever it is, I'm in. I thought it was an adventure game. A little bit more satanic adventure game maybe, but still. Now, mom and dad wouldn't really support me on buying this game. They chipped in with 1/3 of the cost of Warcraft 2 Tides of Darkness through my birthday. When they saw the trailer, they were not as impressed. They would rather I not play this game. Now, they weren't religious in any way, but it also didn't look like a proper thing for a 10-year-old at the time. So I had to get creative. I promised my mom that I wouldn't eat candy for a year. And as a prize for that, I would get 500 Swedish krona, which is about 50 bucks. Now, she didn't know that this would be used for Diablo.
Sneaky, sir.
And was very proud of me when I managed to actually not eat candy for a whole year, and she gave me that 500 SEK. Now, she was not as proud of me when I came back with Diablo in my hand. Just as it was released, I was there and I bought it. And oh boy, did I get hooked on Diablo 1. Diablo 1, I would say, is my favorite game of all time. You hear that music? You hear that? Oh, and those footsteps. A few years later, I was 14 years old, and it was about time that Diablo 2 was about to be released. Now, I was not a kid that was staying inside all the time. I was an outside kid. But that summer, I did not see the sun very much. Much later, I was there for the Diablo 3 release, and I got the full brunt of the Error 37, since me and my boys at the age of 27, had planned a LAN weekend. Yeah. It wasn't all bad. At Sunday we could play the whole day, but Friday and Saturday was shot, and I guess we partied instead or something like that. And now we are here. Diablo 4. It's been out for a month and a half. I never got hooked by any other ARPGs, so I don't have much knowledge of all of the stuff that happens in all the Path of Exiles and everything in there. I don't think that Dungeon Siege count. I was really trying between Diablo 2 and Diablo 3 to find that game that could fill the gap in between, but nothing ever really worked. Silver was a cool game. If you haven't checked that out, oh boy. ARPGs did not hook me. Diablo did. That's my credentials. I'm a Diablo fan, not an ARPG fan, but this means that I'm viewing everything with a healthy dose of nostalgia, maybe not so healthy dose, more of a drug overdose of nostalgia, with my freaking gunner glasses that are rose colored at the same time. The highs are higher, and the lows are lower when it comes to my expectations of this game. But we will start with the highs. The presentation of Diablo 4 is amazing. The graphics are stunning. Everything looks just as I imagine it would in a modern Diablo game. Now, everyone says that we're now back to darkness as it's previously been in Diablo 4 in the past. I would agree, although this is not reminiscent of anything from Diablo 3. Diablo 2 definitely had more color than Diablo 4 has. I mean, they're saying go back to darkness, but Diablo 2 was way more colorful than anything that Diablo 4 shows. The stuff here almost blends into the background because it's so like dialed down on the color. I think they were a little bit scared of anything that was red in this game, so they made everything dark brown or gray. No, if I would compare Diablo 4 to any previous game, I would say that it looks like a modern version of Diablo 1. Diablo 1 had this sort of minimalistic approach where it looks more medieval, it looks more real, the colors looks like they've been in the washing machine for a little bit too long. It is just dark and drab, and I love it. I do love it. I wish some of the enemies might, they can put some color into the enemies, but then we get to the sound, and this was actually one of my worries when I saw the initial gameplays that they were showing off. I saw like the sorcerer's gameplays, and I thought that it didn't feel like stuff had an impact, and for the most part I think they do this justice. I haven't played all of the classes that much. I brought every class up to at least like 30, but I've been maining Barbarian, Druid, and Rogue. The Necromancer is really where I have like a gap in knowledge. I haven't really gotten there yet. The music is very different from what Diablo used to be. Or maybe it's just the lack of guitars that I am missing from the music. I'm not saying the music is bad. I really like the music. I would say that it's not really Diablo-ish. When you go through Kiovashad, it feels like they're playing like a full orchestra that is trying to make you cry, rather than some a little bit depressed guy by the fireside playing guitar, which was my feeling from like Diablo 2, the Rogue Encampment, and of course Tristram in Diablo 1. To be honest, can't really remember much music from Diablo 3 because I usually go back to 1 or 2, not that much for 3. So these all go very well together, which makes the presentation incredible. And even though they've gone with the open world design, I would say that they have not skipped on the details and everything. One of my fears when they said they were going open world was that there's gonna be too much world for them to design. But going with a static open world, which is designed by them, and then having some dungeons that are a little bit more randomized, I think that was a good idea, because when I run through the open world, I can see the details put in there. It's not just graphical, but they're trying to tell a story with the environment as well. Very much reminiscent of something like Dark Souls, where you can see what has previously happened in an area. It's not just nice to look at. It is like giving you a hint of what have happened here before you got here, which is incredibly important. For me, I want to go into a world that feels like it already existed before I got there. Usually games that go open world, it can feel like the world was created for the main character. Everything is just there to service gameplay that you want to do. But here it feels like the world has been here, it's going to be here long after you're gone with your character, even though it doesn't really follow any sort of laws, because how are the trade caravans getting through these roads? Really? How the hell is anyone communicating with anyone else? So it doesn't make sense, but it looks like it makes sense, and that's usually enough. I am convinced when I'm playing it that this world is Sanctuary, even though it's a little bit small. For an open world game, it's big, but for filling a whole continent, about how I imagine Sanctuary, it's kind of small. Riding from the winter to the desert within like 3 minutes is unlikely to happen. Now, Sanctuary might just be a smaller Earth, who knows? When you do the skills, the hits have impact. They quake afterwards, they pull out a big like shockwave around them. Trees sway when you pulverize with your bear. The goatmen you kick with your barbarian fly into walls that have bookcases, and anything and everything breaks when they get there. It looks amazing. One of the most important things in a game like this is that when you hit something, you want to feel like you hit something. Now, I would say that mostly goes for all of the abilities except for anything that is basic abilities. The barbarian with frenzy, he might just have 2 fly swatters trying to like hit people. It looks ridiculous because they never ever die from being hit by 2 axes for like a minute. They're still standing there, a regular mob. I've always treated Diablo as a solo single player game. So this big open world sort of multiplayer quasi MMO style, it doesn't really cater to me, but it doesn't really bother me either because I see other players so rarely that when I see them I go, oh, that's pretty cool. There goes a level 35 rogue just flipping across the screen when I'm doing an event, stealing my freaking stuff from the chest when I killed everything, and he just came in and hit the boss once, and now he gets everything as well. Doesn't bother me at all.
Not at all.
I also like the new potion system. I do like that you only have 1 slot for potions and you upgrade that slot to get better potions as you level up. I really like the crafting of elixirs. I wish that system was deeper actually, because usually you just craft whatever because you want a 5% extra experience. Very rarely do I take a potion because I want to do something specific. Sometimes I do it. Sometimes when I know that I'm going into a dungeon that is filled of the undead, then I will take an undead slaying elixir, and that feels cool. It feels almost like in The Witcher when you're actually crafting these specific potions for specific purposes. But since the crafting system with the crafting materials is so shallow, and the potion crafting is also so shallow, I don't know what everything needs Gallo wine. I'm just making whatever I have into Gallo wine and making a bunch of potions to get the experience. I wish this system was deeper, and I wish they expand it now that we get into later seasons. That would be great actually, because I do love the concept of it. Maybe not the execution. And I do also love the idea of the butcher.
Gee, that's crazy. What the fuck? Oh my god.
Because as someone who plays hardcore, that is a constant fear that I have when I go into any dungeon. Any dungeon could be my last dungeon, even if it is one that I'm pretty sure where I'm gonna kill everything in there, no sweat, even the boss. I could always be ambushed by the butcher, and that is a nice sort of background fear to have as a hardcore character. I usually leave all of the shrines untouched and try to remember where they are, so that if I get ambushed by the butcher, I can fall back to a shrine, the blasting shrine or a artillery shrine. Maybe not a greed shrine, doesn't really help you. It doesn't really help anyone in the game ever, I think. But I must say that they've created these classes where it feels like they are incredibly different and they play very different. Even within one class. Now, not all classes can be adapted to any situation. I mean, the Barbarian, you're still gonna hit stuff. There is enough of a difference if you go for Hammer of the Ancients or if you go for Whirlwind, but that is nothing to how it feels like going to the Druid or going to the Rogue, for example. The Druid going Bear, Werewolf, or just almost like a sorcerer is great. And same for the rogue, which go ranged or knives or traps or however you want to spec into your class. It feels like they've done a really good job. As I said, can't really speak for the Red Necromancer, but all of the classes that I played so far, amazing. So the story in Diablo 4, I would say, is the most fleshed out story of anything Diablo, which is both good and bad. Diablo 3, you were too much in the center of attention of the whole story compared to how it was in Diablo 2, which was probably my favorite as far as the story goes, until I played this. This is actually my favorite story campaign so far, because we get a way deeper understanding of what's going on in the minds of these demons and angels. Not angels in general, just Inarius, but he's a freaking dick, so it's from reading the books I already knew he was a dick, but he's still dicking around like usual. By the way, spoilers. Big ass spoilers. Okay, I'm gonna spoil it all, but I'm gonna leave a chapter so you can just skip through. But it's good to see that there is some depth to some characters. I don't mean to say that they're very complex, like morally, because they're not. Inarius is bad, and so was Lilith. I was on Lilith's side, but that doesn't mean that she is a good person. That just means that, well, her overall objective seemed to be more beneficial for mankind than Inarius's was. Inarius, just a dick. Cares only for himself, and if he wins, then we're all screwed. He's promising everyone that he's gonna bring them to heaven with him. Who knows if that would ever work? Probably not. He doesn't know, and he doesn't care if it happens. He just wants to return himself. So if he leaves for heaven, that just means that we have one less big godly-like being on our own side when the Primevals comes for Earth, right? Earth. I mean Sanctuary. Now Lilith, she's evil, she's an evil bitch, but if she succeeds, we actually stand a chance in the future. So being completely pragmatic about the whole ordeal, I would say that Lilith would be the the smart choice of your loyalties. I do understand these cultists. I would probably be one of them, and I would go like, oh hey guys, you're going a little bit too crazy. Remember, Lilith is still evil, but we want to fight the Primevals. We really want more power when they come over here, so that's why we're following her. Not necessarily because we want her to be our freaking Lord and Savior, because she's not. She doesn't give a shit about us either. But endgame of Lilith is more beneficial for humanity than Inarius endgame. That's all I'm saying. But that brings me to my favorite character of all of, I would say, all of Diablo, probably, and that is seeing the manipulations and the other side of Mephisto.
Who are you? An admirer of sorts. I saved you in the mountains. You'd lost your horse and crawled into that cave. Would have frozen to death if not for me.
Don't get me wrong, he's the Lord of Hatred. He sucks. But damn if he isn't cool. In all of previous Diablo lore, they've always spoken about Mephisto being this like really smart person that was really good at manipulating everything. And the only thing we ever got from him was that we went to kill him in Act 3 in Diablo 2. And then it was just like, you're already too late. Plus probably the most epic speech that has ever been delivered in any fantasy ever. Because when you listen to him in the cutscene leading to Act 4, oh boy.
The skies shall rain fire, and the seas will become as blood. The righteous shall fall fall before the wicked, and all creation shall tremble before the burning standards of hell.
Oh boy, this is an evil guy. But it gives me goosebumps all the same. And now it's cool to see how he is actually going through with this. He was there from the start. He instigated the whole thing.
I know who you are now.
Yes, but that doesn't mean we can't help each other.
The fact that you are as powerful as you are is because of him. He kills your horse, and then he saves you from the cave. He bestows power upon you, and then you go and eat the blood of Lilith. You eat those petals, which makes you even more powerful. So you're fueled by hate from both daughter and dad from the start of the game, and anything and everything you do in the whole game is just because Mephisto wants you to. Even when he says he doesn't, it's just the most obvious sort of reverse psychology I've ever seen. Oh no, don't put me in a soul stone. What would I ever do? Just a free ticket ride to Sanctuary. Thank you very much.
Your lives and those of all humanity depend on what you do next. Choose wisely.
We got to see the side of a prime evil that is more than just a boss fight, because they're usually a letdown, to be honest. You fight a lot of terror like Diablo in all of Diablos before, and you kill him, and immediately you kill him, I feel like, well, I shouldn't be able to do that. There's a bunch of other characters that I like in it as well. I would say that Lorath is really freaking hitting it, and that voice. I just want to hear him read stories to me when I go to bed at night. Except I would be too scared and pee my pants if I try to sleep.
Then at least have the decency to join me for supper.
But outside of Mephisto, my Mephisto love, I would say that the prize of the best human NPC, Donan. I didn't like him at all at first. I just figured this guy is a manipulative asshole that is just bragging about his power, but he's actually a coward and letting everyone else do the work. Later, it turns out he's actually pretty badass, and his story just takes a turn that is heartbreaking. Probably the coolest side character of them all, Astaroth. God damn. When he says, you know, this.
He called out for you, wept until his tears became fire.
Ooh, I got chills. It was badass and scary and cool and god dang. Now that's a freaking demon. Whew, Chad demon. If they're doing Mephisto justice like this, and doing Lilith, this character that I can really love, because Lilith was amazing through the whole game as well. Astaroth is delivered like this, and Inarius, even Inarius is really cool. Cool in a way how they present him, not cool in the way that he actually acted.
You die in battle today. Die heaven-bound. Rally the troops at the palace. We march on hell!
I can't wait to see what's up in store afterwards. How are they gonna do Diablo? How are they gonna do Bale if he comes back? I can't wait to see what they do with the characters in the future. The seasons won't really bring that much story content, but I can't wait for the expansions. Going through the game, through everything they prepared with the boss fights, when you fight Astaroth in that village, it burns everything down, and you see the innocent villagers just running for their lives on fire. They really managed to deliver some really heavy stuff in this. The Rain of Blood is also amazing. And then for some reason Duriel shows up. No, they were like, is it gonna be Andariel or Duriel? Oh, it was both. Andariel was really cool. I love that fight. I wish I could do that fight on tier 3 and tier 4. Because one of the main problems with the campaign being so good in the way they've designed the game is that they make it so that there's no incentive for you to play the campaign again once you're done. Back in the day, it would feel like an accomplishment to complete the campaign on normal, then nightmare, then hell. Right now, you choose if you're gonna play the campaign on tier 1 or tier 2, and then when you're done, that's it. That's it, never play the campaign again. You're very encouraged to skip it afterwards just because it's more effective for you to level up. But I've never really cared about that. I've always been into Diablo for the gameplay, the story, go and look around and go, oh, this is where they resurrected, this is where they summon Lilith in that side quest that you go through. I don't know why we don't get to do it. It's been a staple of the Diablo games for so long to go through the campaigns on harder difficulties, and now it's just... And that, I feel like, brings us into kind of the negative segment of the video. And unfortunately, I have quite a lot of negatives about Diablo, with just raining positives on it like that. I wish I could say that this whole video would be positive, but it isn't. And that's why I felt the need of making a separate video before this that was talking about loot. And only loot, because I tried to record this and my problems with the loot was so long that I had to separate the video from this. So let me keep it short. If you want my complete opinion, check my previous video, but I can boil it down now into a few things. No sets. I love hunting sets, and I am angry that I cannot hunt sets anymore. Uniques don't show up until you are like super high level. I logged in just to check in on my Diablo 2 characters to see how it was there. My Diablo 2 characters that are like level 25 has like 2 or 3 uniques, and it was really fun to find them, even at lower levels. Now, since there's no sets and no uniques until like level 70 or whatever, and sets are not even there at all, it's no fun to hunt for loot or whatever a boss drops. I don't really care, because these legendary aspects could be popping up on anything. The stats on everything are way too complex and way too boring. Maybe some of you that are playing out there that are theory crafters are like, oh well, if I could take this aspect that would give me a barrier when an elite hit me, and then I take this aspect that give me 30% extra damage when I have a barrier up, then I can go together with these two. But I don't care about that stuff. I don't want to sit around and try and theory craft out a good statistic thing so I can play the game. I just want to get an item that is good on its own. Whenever I look at a loot item in Diablo 4, I feel like, is this good? Well, that depends. I just go around with my inventory full. I don't even want to pick up yellows anymore. I'm level 40. Not that I don't need them. I could probably pick them up and make my character better, but that would mean picking them up,
reading through the stats, checking what new affixes they have compared to the affixes I already have, and then maybe go and retract that aspect from this one and put it into this one, or put something new in there. It's just too much.
I just want to equip the thing, get going, freaking out there killing demons, not just sit there and scratch my head all the time as soon as I pick something up.
Look how they massacred my boy.
Oh, now I got worked up again. I already made a video about this. God damn. The legendary items that do drop are not really fun. Some of them are, but they're few and far between. I can get one that gives me small tornadoes when I do whirlwind with my barbarian. That's cool. I like that aspect. Please keep them coming. Usually I get something that say, this aspect gives you more primary resource when you use a basic ability. That doesn't give me any visual feedback that my character is cool. That's just background statistics that gives me numbers. Listen to this. I know a lot of you is gonna be like, what? I play Diablo with damage numbers off. Because I don't care. I'll paint you the scenario. Sword number 1 does 200 damage. Sword number 2 does 150 damage, but it's on fire. On the screen, I can see it. It doesn't give any fire damage, but the sword on the screen is on fire. Guess which one I'm gonna pick? You goddamn right I'm gonna pick the one that is on fire. I don't give a shit about the stats. I want stuff to look cool, not just background statistics. Whew. I gotta calm down. I hate the new loot system. I hate the new affixes and how all the basic statistics is based on that stuff. The most dumb thing I've ever seen in Diablo 4, I even wrote it down because I got so mad. There's a passive that is called Exploit that does 6% extra damage to injured and healthy enemies. Now, can you see why I'm mad? Why doesn't this skill just do 6% extra damage? Period. What is the need of putting injured, healthy, distant, close, vulnerable, all of this shit in there that just muddies the water when I'm trying to figure out if stuff is good. So, as you can see, I have a big problem with this, and since loot is kind of a big deal when it comes to Diablo, it is a pretty big minus on the game. And that goes for everything in the game. The armor, the weapons, the legendary aspects, the jewelry, the gems, everything. Just please remove all of these secondary conditions to reach the thing that I want, and just give me the thing that I want. I gotta calm down. I gotta go to the next negative. The reason why I get so worked out with these negatives is that I really want this game to be good. My next problem is with the skill tree, actually. The skill tree is... I like the general design and I like how the whole thing is set up. It's sort of a mix between Diablo 3 and Diablo 2 in that way. That the skill tree, you get to put points in it, but at the same time you have some variations to each skill. The problems that I have is, number one, there is not enough variation to each skill, because it's very easy to see as soon as you jump into Diablo 3 that you had 5 or 6 runes, I don't remember exactly, into every single skill. And here is the big part that I don't really like, that in Diablo 3, each sort of skill rune changes not only the background statistics of something that it does, oh, now it gives you poison damage. Oh, now it gives you a better critical strike chance. No, in the past, it used to be, now it does an ice attack, or now it does like a sweep attack. Now it's not a melee attack at all. Now it's a ranged attack. You freaking throw your claws at someone's face. The variety on skills were so much bigger in Diablo 3 because everything in Diablo 4 is so concerned about the background math about everything, and they put the background math in the forefront. And I don't want any math here. Okay, a little bit, but I don't want it firsthand in my face like this. And mostly, I do want visual feedback on the different kinds of builds I'm doing. I want to have a rune for the Hydra that make the Hydra into an Ice Hydra. We could have Arcane Hydras in the past, we could have the Disintegrate spell that could be freaking Flame or Arcane, or it could channel to different enemies that was next to you, or it could get more like intense the longer you held it. Just one skill, I feel, in Diablo 3 had more variety than the whole skill tree. Maybe I'm exaggerating here just because I'm getting a little bit upset, but a small problem, not as big. I'm not a huge fan of this builder spender sort of a thing, because I play mostly Druid and Barbarian, and you have one skill like Frenzy to build up enough fury so you can do the double swing, and that kind of retracts from the game because I do want to have every skill in the game so that you could build a whole build around it. That's not what they want you to do. They want you to use Frenzy to build up fury to do all of the cool stuff. But I want all of the stuff to be cool stuff. And on top of that, why are we limited to so few skills? I play on the PC and I play on the console, okay? On the PC, I don't see any reason why we couldn't have more buttons for skills. Just let me bind them to whatever button I want. And on the console, why not just have a modification button? Like, okay, so you have all the buttons, L2 is the modify button, and when you hold L2, X becomes different and square becomes different and everything. The skill tree is just full of stuff that I want on my druid that I can't have. Building a mix werebear werewolf thing on the druid becomes really tough. Like you had elective mode in Diablo 3, right? Check that box, unlock a modifier button on your controller, and boom, you can have it on console as well. This is a mix of a positive and a negative. This is the enemies of the game. I think the enemies are really good. They feel really good to hit. I like the fact that you've gone for sort of a mix between having ragdolls to having death effects. When I do my double swing as a barbarian, I cut someone's head off. That looks really, really cool. It looks different from when I killed him with Rend, then I cut him in half. It looks amazing, and it's really fun to fight. I wish there was more variety to the different sort of enemies you met in the different regions. Because we're meeting bandits in Fractured Peaks, in Skosklen, in Dry Steppes, in all of the places. We're meeting cultists almost everywhere as well. And my least favorite thing of all time, what the fuck are all these ghosts doing here? They're boring to kill. Because you hit them with something and they just go, and they just go poof, right? It doesn't have any impact to kill a ghost. They just go fluff in the air and they disappear. Killing a goat man is like 100 times more satisfying than killing a ghost. Because the goat man, you could freeze him, you could burn him, you could cut his head off, you can cut him in half, you could smash him into jelly with a hammer of the ancients. Like there's so many cool things because he has a physical presence in the world. The ghosts do not. They all die the same. They go, and also, it feels so weird that I can make a ghost bleed. Okay, that actually goes for the skeletons as well. I don't like ghosts. Please get rid of the ghosts. I don't like them at all. One more thing is that there's a lack of different bosses in the dungeons. Now, there is plenty of different bosses in Diablo 4 as a whole, if you include the campaign in it too. If I was to judge the bosses based on the campaign, I would say that it's a freaking A+, maybe even S tier sort of boss variety on them. But if I just skip the campaign and start a new character and start going through the dungeons, it's either the Blood Bishop, it's the Big Ghost, it's the Castra Abomination, or the Spider. Those are the four, right? Like, and there's like 130 dungeons, and there's 4 bosses I can think of. There's probably 8, maybe. It's not enough. And when you have stuff in the campaign like Duriel, Andariel, that big cannibal boss guy, Elias, Lilith, Astaroth, all of these cool ass bosses, and we never get to meet them again if we skip the campaign, that feels like a swing and a miss. It's already in the game. Why aren't we fighting them more? I don't understand. Then we definitely get to the part where I wish I could replay the campaign on a harder world tier. These things of just running around in the open world and doing dungeons and hell tides. I haven't even done a hell tide because I play hardcore and everything has died before I dare to go there. Which probably is bad, since it's dying anyway. I should really get in there, or PvP or something. Maybe I'll PvP all my characters before season 1. And then be really mad. Now that you listen to all the negatives, it probably sounds like I hate Diablo 4. I don't. I love Diablo 4. I just want to play Diablo 4 all the time, and there are some things that is holding me back from doing just that. I'm also missing the fact that you can't go to town and talk to NPCs about the different sort of quests that you are on. Back in the day when you would TP back to town, you would go to like the guy you were selling stuff to, and you were like, oh, I got this quest, I'm gonna ask this guy what he thinks of it. That really fleshes out the lore of the older games, like the NPCs actually talking about things that have happened, and it does actually build a lot of like presence into the world that these people live in, and you can ask them about stuff and they can just say, the fuck are you talking about?
What's there to talk about? Kill Neelathok.
Or they can have a big opinion about it. It's interesting, nonetheless. One thing they do when you're done with the campaign is that some of the side quests have actually changed dialogues when you do them after the campaign instead of before campaign. That is amazing. I love that stuff. Now I wish that we can have more of an impact of the world, like the previous video I made, hint hint, about how we need to actually be able to spend money to improve these cities and help the people in them instead of just doing their fetch quests and then stealing one veiled crystal for them. God damn it, what's with these side quest rewards? They're the worst. Get 20 renown and some gallow wine? Get out of here. God damn it, it's stupid.
This will be your last stupid mistake.
Some thing that I really hope that we get a season of is the season of the home. I want to be able to put my trophies that I have for my horse up on the wall, then pick one that I put on my horse. I want to have my own stables where I collect my my mounts. I want to be able to have a place where I just choose it for collection. So us that like collecting things and doing trophies and achievements and everything can be completionists about Diablo. Maybe even show it off to someone, like bring them home to your place and show off all your achievements that you've done in Diablo 4 so far. Because right now, if I had a mansion in Diablo where I could display all of the things, I would definitely go out of my way to kill all of the world bosses at least once. So I have high hopes for Diablo, and I know this is just the start, so I can't wait to see what happens within 2 years. That's gonna be it for me. Thank you very much for staying all the way to the end. I'm impressed. You deserve the like. I would subscribe to you if I knew where to find you. See you in the next video.